Hello there everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Joesephyr and wishing you all a very Merry Christmas. For the big Christmas has obviously just gone. Sadly, we've only got, 352 days until next Christmas. But we're also coming up for the end of 2020, which I'm sure is going to be very, very happy for a lot of people. And we can hope that 2021 is going to bring us all the joy that we couldn't get this year. Now, today with Dissidia Opera Omnia, I'm taking a little bit of an initiative and I'm going to assume, and I'm hoping that I'm not incorrect here, that the slides that we're going to be shown later on today for Dissidia and what's coming up in January are going to first of all contain Cloud and his LD, his burst, and his rework along with the event that comes along with him. So I decided to take a little bit of an initiative and pray to God that I'm not wrong on this and release a Should You Pull video on Cloud just before that event comes to pass, and I'll obviously also be releasing a video for those slides as well. So if you're interested in Cloud and everything that comes along with him, then of course stay tuned and keep on watching. As always guys, don't forget to check out all of the social media links in the description box below, including Twitter, Twitch, Discord and Patreon. On Twitch this week I will be streaming Cloud's event, provided it is Cloud's event that comes first, and whatever comes out of the stream, if we get more Abyss, then I'll be really happy with that, because I love Abyss and all sorts of things like that. I've also been streaming Smash Bros and some other bits and pieces in Sephiroth's arrival, and I also want to extend a quick thank you to everybody that came along for the Xmas Extravaganza quiz. It actually went very, very well, and congratulations to my 3 winners, and they're going to have their title cards featured here, as well as at the end of my videos, to showcase their ability to show their knowledge for Final Fantasy. As with Patreon, as you can see with the title cards, I normally give my Patreons every single one of them one of my title cards as well, and every time I release a video I want to shout out one of my patrons at random so that I can give thanks to each and every one of you individually. And today that person is going to be Wooton, who has been coming to my streams for a very long while now, so I want to say a big thank you to you for your support. Don't forget to check out all of the other websites that are out there associated with Dissidia Opera Omnia, and of course don't forget to check out all the other content creators out there besides myself. Now first things first, obviously, as we do with every Should You Pull video, we're going to be going over the banner itself and the featured character within it. Now we don't have an exact date for Cloud as of the making of this video, so do keep your horizons open as to when this banner should drop. I expect it to be somewhere around Wednesday this week, around sort of when for the first event this week and the first event before, or the last event before the end of 2020. But we should get 2 banners with Cloud featured in them, the first of which won't have his EX in it, but will have his LD and his burst, and will feature Celes, Waka, and Yuri EXs. And I'll actually probably pull on this one because I have neither Celes nor Waka, which is actually quite nice for me. And then the second banner, if you don't already have his EX, will feature his EX, as well as Rem and Setsu's EX alongside his Cloud's LD and burst. Now Cloud gets a rework with these banners, and it's a hell of a rework, I gotta say. Now Cross Slash gets multiple bravery, a lot of HP dumps, so does Finishing Touch. He gets a lot out of his new rework. So basically, Cross Slash and Finishing Touch, if you've never used Cloud before, which I find unlikely for a lot of players, Finishing Touch guaranteed a launch, and then you could follow it up with Cross Slash, which then had a guaranteed paralysis on it. So it makes it so that Cloud has a lot of tech outside of his ability to deal damage. But his ability to deal damage is very much there, because he deals a lot of it. Now, Cross Slash at first does 3 brave HP attacks, so single brave, single HP, but he does it 3 times, so it's a great way to sort of make use of any bravery that's been batteried to him or anything like that. And he also gets more bravery sort of added on before the last HP attack, so that's great as well. And obviously it has a chance of paralyzing even if you're not using the plus version of itself that you would get by using Finishing Touch. Finishing Touch gets a heck of a large amount of damage added to it. It turns itself into a 5 brave HP attack, so you're getting 5 HP attacks. Again, great way of making use of all of that battery stuff that you're getting on there. It also has splash damage of the total HP damage on other targets, which is really nice as well. And then obviously you get the guaranteed launch off of it, so that means that he's going to get even more damage out of it because your other characters will be able to join on it. And obviously, as with any attack that does splash damage and guarantees a launch, it does a lot of chase HP damage to the other target, making them significantly easier to launch as well. So it makes a huge difference onto how much damage you can do with Finishing Touch. And then obviously after you've used that, you then get Cross Slash Plus, which, if you've given him his 15 CP weapon and maxed all of that out and you've gained everything else, will guarantee paralysis after you use it, which makes a huge difference. You're going to be able to deal a massive amount of damage, and you're going to be able to launch, and you're going to be able to get the paralysis. The only thing that Cloud doesn't already carry along with him, really, is the ability to just kind of bring party auras or anything like that. But honestly, with the amount of damage that he churns out, he doesn't really need it. Now, if you've not used his EX already, Meteor Rain just gave him the Marco buff, which increased his Max Bravery's attack and his critical damage. And Meteor Rain was the first EX plus weapon, so I wouldn't expect too much to come out of it. Basically, it's just a Brave HP attack that's delivered twice, but 6 hits with all of his buffs and everything. It's still going to do a decent amount of damage, and it charges relatively quickly as well. So it's just free attacks, more or less. Now, his LD and his burst weapon are really something special. Now, his LD is Blade Beam, and it's a Brave HP, AoE Bravery, single target HP with splash damage attack, and it gives him a free skill use on the turn after he uses it, and it gives him 2 turns of delay on all targets that he hits by with it, which means he's got more range to then use Finishing Touch after it, which is then free, which then leads into Cross Slash, and you get the guaranteed paralysis. It just streamlines his kit perfectly. Now, his Brave Attack Plus and HP Attack Plus were a little bit lackluster before now, but he gets an HP Attack Plus with this that makes it so that he's got a 3-hit Brave HP attack. So it's actually very similar to his C65 without the attack boost that he gets on it, and obviously it being a free turn. But he gets quite a lot out of it. Like, the attack rise that he gets from his LD is also massive, so he's going to be dealing a very large amount of damage. And you get 4 uses of this without the burst as well, so you've got 4 more skill uses on top of the 4 more skill uses you actually have from Blade Beam. So you're getting more finishing touches, which means more cross slash pluses, which means more paralysis and more turn control. It actually does make him significantly better. And his burst is one that I think that a lot of players are going to go for, and it's nothing to do with the burst effect. The Brave HP attack is different to other bursts we've seen before in that Omni Slash version 5 is 12 HP attack. So a lot of Cloud's kit is Brave HP, Brave HP, Brave HP. And it actually does work out very well. It adds up really nicely. And it does splash damage as well, so it's like slightly different to any AoE kind of burst attacks we've seen before. But the fact that you're getting multiple, you're going to be able to launch practically every attack during the burst because you use Blade Beam to get a free use of Finishing Touch, which then does the splash damage and means you can cross slash the other target, which then gets launched because of the chase damage from the original Finishing Touch, and then because the Finishing Touch was free, you can then do another one, and you can see where I'm going with this. The amount of damage, or scope for damage, with this burst is absolutely staggering. It puts Lightning's burst to shame. And the burst effect is quite nice, given that Cloud is relatively slow. You're probably going to get quite a lot out of it, but it affects the amount of bravery damage that you deal and critical damage that you deal. So while it doesn't augment HP damage like Lightning's does, if you're against a tanky enemy, it's still going to be helpful to you. But with Cloud, the actual the meat of the burst is during the burst itself, because Finishing Touch has that guaranteed launch, and because Blade Beam has that delay and the free Finishing Touch use after it. The amount of damage is absolutely staggering. You could pair him up with characters that we haven't seen for a long while, like Keist or like Kryl. Kryl during Cloud's burst is absolutely foul. There's loads of things that you can do to experiment with this, and it's actually a very, very exciting burst to have. I can't even get my words out and finish my sentences, it's that exciting. Now, to round out what we're doing with Cloud and talking about him, he obviously has a cool ability now in Finishing Touch, which is great because it's exactly what you want it to be. It's got the chase involved in it. Later down the line, Cloud is going to get an update to his LD boards and things like that that makes it so that he has Blade Beam as a cool ability, and it enhances that a great deal as well, but we'll come to that more when he's actually released with his LD boards later on. But Finishing Touch as a cool ability is actually just generally very nice to have. There's a lot of applications that you can use for this just to get a raw amount of damage out, because it's not just the actual damage from the attack that's going to hit, you're going to get the amount of damage that you would have gotten from your other party members as well. With regards to high armor, if you're using Cloud, you're using this. It's the same as Lightning. Lightning and Cloud have a lot of parallels because their primary function is as a damage dealer, where Lightning is more about single target, boss them down, delay them to hell and back, unbreak, re-break, thunder in peril, keep going, keep going, keep going. Cloud is more like techie based and more AoE based, and has like, he has the guaranteed paralysis on his side over Lightning, where Lightning has the re-break and the delay. You've also got the fact that he has AoE damage where Lightning doesn't have a lot of it, because Finishing Touch does AoE damage, Blade Beam does AoE damage, and then his EX does AoE damage as well. So basically you get like a choice of the two. Like Lightning's burst has HP plus damage on it, Cloud's doesn't, but Cloud does ridiculous amounts of damage during his burst. But either way, they're both raw damage dealers. You are going to want their high armor for that reason. And then with artifacts, being one of the earliest characters released in Opera Omnia, Cloud doesn't have any kind of bells and whistles or anything fancy with his kit. You just want attack and max bravery for him. So in that regard, he's actually very simple. So now let's have a look at the event that comes out alongside Cloud, and much like the banner itself, I do just want to give a quick disclaimer that if this turns out to be at a different date to like the first or the next couple of days after the slides are shown on the in-game notice for January, then I apologize in advance, but you can always use this video for when it does eventually come out. But with this event, we're going to be seeing Guard Scorpions, because what else could you possibly see when it came to a Cloud-based event? It's an iconic thing, and therefore they're going to use it. Now, it's actually got a lot of similarities to Camlonaut's Lost Chapter, if you've finished that one already, in that the Lufenia Orb is triggered, well, it's triggered periodically throughout the fight, but the way to kind of push it back is to disable the enemy's turn. They have to at least attempt to have their turn, so delaying isn't necessarily the way to go about it, but if you put them to sleep, or if you paralyze them, or anything like that, then that's going to be your way to get around the orb, because it pushes the turns back up by 20, up to a maximum of 30, and the enemies aren't resistant to any elemental or types of damage. The only thing they are immune to is HP attack disable. So characters like Kefka and Arciela aren't going to work too well here. They want you to bring Cloud. But there are plenty of characters that you can bring along that will do this job very well. So Cloud obviously has paralysis in his kit, so therefore he's going to be able to make it so that they don't like get their Lufenia orb off. Raijin, Camlonaut, honestly I'm excited for a reason to use Camlonaut in this Lost Chapter, or in this event, so because I haven't really used him since his Lost Chapter. Edward will work very, very well here as well, not just because of his sleep debuff, but because of the fact that he can reduce bravery to 0, and I'll get to that and more of that in a moment. There's lots of characters that you can use here. If you've picked up Reno and Rude, both of them are fantastic. Honestly, if you have Cloud and you get his LD and his burst, I encourage you to try using Kais alongside him, because they're actually really strong together. Like the amount of damage you can churn out during that burst, and the fact that you're getting quite as many launches as you are, both of them have delay in their kit through one's EX and the other's LD. They actually work very well together, so if you want to get excited for Kais's LD, then that's a reason for you to do so. Lightning does actually work very well here as well. What you can actually do is, because paralyzing one of the units actually pushes the orb up on both of the enemies straight back up by 20. You can formulate a different strategy where you actually sort of paralyze one of them over and over and over again, but you delay the other one. And there's other content creators out there that have done this already using Camlonaut and Lightning. You can use, if you have Cloud and Lightning, honestly, you should see this as an absolute cinch. Like, there's no reason why you should struggle with this, with the amount of damage that you're churning out. It is in fact possible, because the Guard Scorpion's Lufenia orbs appear at certain HP thresholds, so at the start like 100% down to 80%, and then 60% down to 40%, and then again at 30%. Play your cards right, you can actually just brute force your way through it. Because while these guys are tanky, if you pick up Cloud and Lightning, you've got way more damage than they can handle. So honestly, after the massive sort of like pains that we had through December's Lufenia missions, this should be an absolute cinch for you guys. So now we come to the big question of these banners. Should you be pulling for Cloud? And for the vast majority of players, I'm sure the answer is a resounding yes. Now, he's a top tier damage dealer. There's no two ways about it. He has slightly different tech than, say, Lightning or Noctis, other top end damage dealers have had, in that he has his paralysis, he has the launch, he's got delay in his kit. He doesn't have an awful lot to, plays around with the party outside of the launches, making opportunities for damage, but he does so much by himself, it's very hard to argue with the amount of damage he churns out. if you want to like experiment with the various things you can do with Cloud's burst, it's actually a really fun one to play around with, just because it's almost like hitting a high score, seeing how much damage you can get during this burst. If you bring along, like I said, Kais or Kryl or Kurosame or Charlotta or anyone that just piles on HP damage, trust me, Cloud will benefit from all of it, because it all just adds up to him. He wants to be supported by other party members, but he can churn out damage like no one else. Now, Lightning is also an extraordinary damage dealer, and there may be people that have like been spent out because of Reno, Rue, Lightning, etc. over the last month or so. And if you are in a position where you can't pull for Cloud, but you have Lightning, then you're in a nice position anyway. You don't have to have them both. They're both wonderful to have, but if you have them, if you have Lightning, then Cloud is slightly less needed. But you're wanting to keep up with your damage potentials as much as possible, and both of them are melee-oriented damage dealers, so you're going to want at least one of them. But if you're happy with Lightning and you don't particularly like Cloud for whatever reason, then that's the only reason I can realistically think of not to pull for him, because there's just so much that comes out of him. He's even different from Lightning. Lightning is very solely a single target damage dealer, but Cloud has like the AoE capabilities. He has attacks that hit with AoE where Lightning doesn't. Noctis has his turn shenanigans, but his damage output isn't as high as Lightning's or Cloud's is. But you can even pair them up if you've got the right support character to go alongside them, say Rude or somebody like that. You can actually pair them up and it worked really well. So he even like lasts for a long time because he's got his LD boards coming out, as does Lightning. So having at least one of these two, if you don't have Lightning, you should definitely be pulling for Cloud. But outside of that, honestly, he's just a great character. So now it's time for Would You Pull, the section of the video where you, the viewer, gets your chance to have your say on any given banner and whether you would or wouldn't pull on a particular character and why. Now with Cloud, of the patrons I asked, of which there are over 100 of you now, so thank you very, very much for your support, and now I can say that there's plenty of votes there so people can get a really good idea as to whether people are pulling or not. 59% of people said yes, they were going all in with gems, 39% of people said yes, they were going in with tickets, and 2% of people said they weren't going in with anything to go for Cloud, which honestly I'm surprised that there's 2%, given that we had 0% on the last banner. So, of the people that we've spoken to, I didn't hear from anybody that said that they weren't pulling for Cloud, so I didn't get any reasonings as to why, sadly. But that's a Padlin over on Discord says, I got Cloud's burst on JP but never had the LD. One of the things I wish I'd gotten most to date. His rework makes him even better in his utility role with fantastic damage, launch paralysis, splash damage, delay, definitely making sure I get that LD this time. So yes, this is a really important note as well. Because there are other banners coming out after Cloud, it's important to always try and go for just the LD if you're planning on spending on any other banner, because I go through every single burst weapon with people where people go all in, get the burst, like had to pity it, and then they get it on like 2 tickets in the next banner. So please do be careful of that. And then Valdrick 20k says, going all in for Cloud's burst. Got tokens saved for him. His LD, I'll go all out with gems and pity if I have to. Been waiting so long for his rework and the rest of his kit. Then it's all Beatrix afterwards. So that, again, I will reiterate this. Beatrix is a really good character as well, and so is Xander, who will follow Cloud provided everything goes to plan with the scheduling this month. So be careful using your burst tokens if you are pulling on banners after Cloud. You don't have to get it the second it comes out. The LD, sure, go nuts, go grab the LD, but don't go spending burst tokens straight away unless you absolutely have to. Over on Patreon itself, DJ Laws here says, my gems are all ready for Cloud's burst LD. With his rework too, he's looking like he'll be a really strong character again, especially for launch-based teams. First of all, massive congrats goes out to DJ Laws, as he was actually the winner of the Xmas Extravaganza quiz, so big congrats to you. And then, yeah, I agree with this. His rework does make him significantly stronger. When he first got his EX, he kind of fell off really quickly, but that's because he was the first EX. And honestly, the EX is probably the weakest part of his kit, which, when you've got quite as much as you have with Cloud, that's not a bad thing. And then finally, Jeffrey Redcloud says, I'm going in with tickets as I only need his LD from the initial banners because I intend to use gems on Xander, which is exactly exemplifying why I say don't go all in on a burst straight away. Make sure you know you're not going for any of the following banners. So in this case, it should be Beatrix and Xander. I plan to go in on Beatrix, and if I've got resources at the end, I may well go for Xander as well, because he's actually very undervalued within the game. But you could get Cloud's Burst on any of those banners. You don't have to get it on this one. So just bear that in mind, and then you'll be okay. So that's going to be it for today's video, or at least this video today. I think I'll be releasing another one very shortly, depending on when these slides come out, and hopefully everything goes to plan, because I'm pretty sure that Cloud will be the first thing that comes out this week. But if it's not, I'll have to rush and make another video pretty damn quickly, and we know that Cloud is coming very soon regardless. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video regardless of when you're watching it, and don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course click that bell for notifications on any other videos I might be making in the future. So thank you all very much, good luck to you if you are pulling for Cloud, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, bye bye.